Welcome everybody back into Nerd Sesh. As always, I'm Carson Breber, and alongside me is Logan Camden. And today, a very special guest is joining us from his vehicle. It is the world famous Pablo Escoball. How are you doing today, man?
Do you know that? Do you guys know that? That's mewing. Hello everybody. I'm doing fine. I just picked up my car from maintenance. We're gonna see
Wow.
if we're gonna do another 1,000-mile check-in, and then we'll find out if I get a new engine for free because of the recall. They had to open up a whole new plant in Mexico to build these new engines, but they're being stingy about trying to give it to me for free. So I've already done like 7 checkpoints, the last one to go. So we're doing good.
The bastards. You know what you should get yourself is a 2013 Ford C-Max. Those things never let you down.
Durable?
Smooth driving vehicle. Durable, trusty, aesthetically quite pleasing.
Carson, we can't be handing out free promos, man.
No, I would give all the free promo to a 2013 Ford C-Max that I need. Get it in white if you can. I can't believe that we opened with a mewing tutorial. Well, hold on a second now. Hold on a second.
That was cut that.
Yeah. Jamie, can you cut that, please? The mewing tutorial, just a phenomenal way to start. All right. We are going to talk some basketball today. And one of the things that feels like has been sort of dominating the discourse as of late is that the famous MVP straw poll has now been released. The one that started a national discourse on race and stat padding and everything else last year, just at about this stage in the season. And Nikola Jokic is again the front runner. Pablo, does that seem right to you? Who would be your MVP if the season were to end today?
Yeah, if it ended today, it'd probably be him. Only, I mean, it was gonna be Embiid, but now he's
Right.
gone. So, I
R.I.P.
think, what's it called? Who is it? Tim Bontemps who does the
Yeah,
straw poll? Yeah,
does.
he was like overwhelmingly the winner. So yeah, I think that would be the choice, and I think that's a choice I'd be fine with. Even though it's a little bit of a down year for him, 65% true shooting. Ugh, that's not 70.
Shot chucker.
Yeah, he's still playing unbelievable. Who would be who's even near him statistically? Shai and then
Giannis.
but the vibes are bad around the Bucks, so they're not even talking about him. And then Shai, I could see Shai getting momentum later on in there, just because people are so prisoner of the moment with this stuff. Like last year, the Nuggets had like a bad month and a half to end the season, and then everyone's like, wait a second, this guy's actually garbage.
Yeah.
We hate him. And then I could see Shai having some big games, and them doing the thing where they look at the steal and block numbers and they're like, wait a second, this guy's an elite defender. This is a two-way player. Jokic is a one-way player, so we're gonna give it to him. And also, if they could realistically finish with the number 1 seed as possible, but today I think Jokic is probably the MVP.
Jokic is probably my pick too, and I kind of hate that argument too, man. Jokic is a one-way player. Like the way he dominates the glass too, he deserves credit. I think I think you guys mentioned like the top 3. I think my top 3 would be Jokic, SGA, and Giannis. I am waiting for the bottom to drop out in Milwaukee because Doc Rivers is the new head coach. So I'm it's inevitable. It's gonna happen. I do want to give a shout out. Like I think Luka's probably climbed into those conversations for me. I think he's probably my favorite dark horse with the guys they got. And then shout out Jalen Brunson, man. I'm a big Jalen Brunson MVP points kind of guy. I think he should be on the short list.
Wow, Brunson is right in that next tier for you. I think that there's some good guys in that second tier. You got to put Kawhi up there with what the Clippers have done, but I think there's 4 clear front runners, and I think that it is Jokic, Giannis, SGA, and Luka, and I think that there's pretty legitimate arguments for any one of them. Like, I legitimately had a bit of an internal battle thinking about this. I don't think it's super clear-cut right now. To me, the tiebreaker for Jokic is just that I think he's the best basketball player on the planet, and we become so numb to the fact that this guy's like arguably the greatest offensive player ever, and that every single year you see a guy turn this group into a completely dominant offense. And some of the on-off numbers are a little bit weird with him because the Nuggets do so many of these platoon swaps where they go full starting lineups and then full bench unit, or just Jamal and a full bench unit or whatever. But consistently, like, he completely transforms their offense, and that obviously totally matches up with the eye test. Just the ability to dominate from anywhere on the floor, out of any action, scoring, playmaking, unbelievable efficiency. he's just doing what he does. And he floated the ship well for that stretch earlier in the year when Murray was hurt. And I do think if you look at some of these other contenders, like the Nuggets probably have the best overall supporting cast of any of these teams that we're talking about when you think about 2 through 5 dudes who are just such complementary, really good play finishers, some really good two-way pieces in there. Like, they've built a really ideal starting 5 around Jokic. But I do think when you're talking about how things look when that guy is off the floor, if you think about what Dame, even in a down year, is capable of doing, floating that offense in non-Giannis minutes, or at times just taking over, being like the number one guy. As much as I love Jamal Murray, I am literally wearing a shirt that says this guy loves Jamal Murray. Yeah, how about that? In terms of regular season production, consistency, he's not on that level. Same goes for Luka, who I think makes a legit case too, because again, I talk about us being numb to what Jokic and the Nuggets are doing, and that shouldn't like detract from the greatness of it. But also when you think about talent on a roster, preseason expectations, the two guys who have really overachieved that in terms of propelling team success are SGA and Luka. I do think we got to give Kyrie a lot of credit, though, for what he's done this season. And again, there is a different level of I can float the offense than anything that you get with Jokic, a supporting cast, as much as I love those guys. So I'm leaning Jokic. Who would you guys say makes the next best case?
I don't want this to be a narrative thing, like you said, because I think that some of these awards we can kind of get narrative based in the sense that, like you said, SGA's really dramatically overachieved this season. But am I wrong for kind of wanting that, fellas? Like, I don't know. I want a little bit of, this is a weird comp. You get a new prisoner, man. It's some fresh fish.
Now,
I want
hold
some
on a
fresh
second.
blood, man. I want some fresh meat. Like, I want somebody new in there. And I think SGA, if there's anybody that we're going to, move into this upper echelon of players, it's him. And he does have a really good supporting cast. Like, I like what Oklahoma City's done, putting two-way guys around him, putting other offensive creators like Jalen Williams, like Chet Holmgren. But I don't know. That's a real, sticking point for me between him and Giannis. Like, Giannis obviously has the two-way edge because he's one of the best defenders on planet Earth. But SGA is going to be able to get you a bucket and manufacture you a good look regardless of the situation. There's a different level of confidence I have with him in the clutch. And yeah, like I said, I don't want it to be narrative based, but I think SGA is close enough and the team success is there where he warrants a real chance in the MVP race. And yeah, if narrative was to creep into play, I'd probably say SGA is number 2. I just want a little something new, man. And I think SGA has played well enough this season to where it warrants him being in these conversations and warrants him as a real argument at number 2. And again, not to beat a dead horse, it's coming, guys. It's coming. Milwaukee's going to just drop out, man. It's inevitable.
Yeah, you made it pretty clear that you want fresh fish and fresh blood, buddy.
Fresh meat.
Yeah, thanks. I don't think that the bottom's going to fall out for Milwaukee in the regular season. It quite literally never has. Like, this is always an elite regular season team. If their flaws and Giannis's flaws are going to be, really exposed, obviously the point of attack defense is the reason that they're 35-20 instead of maybe, pushing Boston for the 1 seed. But when you're talking about Doc Rivers, when you're talking about Giannis's limitations in terms of half-court offense, that becomes an issue in the playoffs. I think in the regular season, he's as dominant a player as we've seen in the last half-decade plus. To me, he would still be second. He hasn't been able to drive an elite team defense like he has in years past with Drew at the point of attack, or even when it was Eric Bledsoe and the boys. But individually, he's still pretty elite on that end. And he's having, maybe his best career season offensively, 31, 11, and 6 on 65% true shooting. SGA does have the narrative, and no matter how you phrase it, Logan, people do like seeing a new guy crowned MVP. That was a driving factor for Embiid last year. Voter fatigue is one of the most reliable realities in NBA history. But I think I would go Giannis, and Luka does make a case, dude. I mean, they're 10 games above 500 when he plays. He's averaging a rounded 34, 9, and 10 on 62% true shooting. This is one of the great offensive seasons in NBA history that he's putting forth. And now the narrative is starting, which is always fun, that Luka's a good defender. This is great, dude. I love... Oh, it's going around, buddy. Just on the heels of the Trey is a good defender, which I really enjoy because people can't seem to separate improved from good. Trey is playing with more effort. Trey is making plays with his hands. Trey is 6 foot, 160 pounds, and carries a huge offensive load.
He's elite.
He's not a
But
good
he stole
defender.
it from Kevin
Just like
Durant.
Luka.
And Kevin Durant is one of the best
He stole it from
offensive
Kevin
players
Durant.
ever.
Dude, you know what that makes me think of? I posted like a whole video breakdown, right, where you watch a bunch of film and you come with all these stats about Hallie way earlier in the year when he was having this awesome season. And then some guy on TikTok just commented, like, didn't he get clamped by LaMelo? Because you remember LaMelo had that one steal on him in the clutch. And I was just like, good God. But anyways, I mean, that guy cooked. Luka's improved defensively. He is playing with more effort. He's making plays with his instincts. And the stats that are going around are like, he defends really well on post-ups and in isolation.
Yeah, I did.
Of course he defends well on post-ups. He's a big, physical, 6'8" guy. In terms of isolations, same thing. Like, bigger wings can't bully him, but, like, quicker guys can. Denny Avdia was getting what he wanted on Luka. And when you talk about team defense, foot speed, like, he's not a plus defender. So let's just put that narrative to bed. But legitimately, I think all four of them are close.
Hey, but Denny is also a European MVP. Some are saying
Denny's tough.
Some are saying European Ben Simmons. But yeah, it's funny that now we're just like the Venn diagram with Luka and prime James Harden is just a full circle now. Like we had all the offensive, like, except the only difference is Luka performs in the playoffs like, to the same standard. But you guys probably remember, like, back in the day, Harden was like the worst defender, and then people were like, hold on, check out his post defense.
Yeah.
He's actually really good at post defending. And even like when Mike D'Antoni went on the Thinking Basketball podcast, he's like, he's actually a really good post defender. But yeah, Luka, it feels, I didn't know that stat. What's their win-loss record with him in the lineup?
They're 28-18 when he plays. They're 3-5 when he sits, and they went 11-8 without Kyrie, which is pretty legit. Kyrie's also 3-2 without him, so they're 0-3 when neither of them plays, which is like obviously. So
that's crazy, because he is putting up the numbers he does in 2K. Like, every year he averages like 35, 12 and 12 in 2K and wins the MVP. And this is the year where he's finally doing that. And he shoot, is he at like 37% from three or something like that?
I want to say might be 38. Yeah, he's having his best career season from deep.
Yeah, that's crazy. Do the voters look at that? Do they look at not his numbers? Will they look at the record with him in the lineup versus out of the lineup? Because last year they kind of ignored it with Jokic and Embiid, because like the Nuggets had with Jokic playing, the Nuggets had a better record than the Sixers did with Embiid playing, but they just kind of like ignored that. So I don't know what they're gonna roll with.
It's an interesting question. I certainly factor it in, but you can't really overstate how much, historically at least, voters have looked at, okay, what seed did you finish? And that's a huge determining factor. We saw 28 straight years where a top 2 seed in the conference won MVP every single year. You didn't have to win 60 games. It wasn't necessarily about, I mean, they didn't have on-off data for some of that time, or your team's record with versus without you. It's just like, did you get that seeding? And I do think that if SGA gets the 1 seed, that could be a real factor.
Speaking of 1 seeds, I mean, do you guys consider Jason Tatum in the upper echelon? Where is he among these guys for you?
I actually have him 5th, because I think, like, you can't really undersell how well he's played this year and how great the Celtics as a team are. At the same time, I think that the 4 guys who we're talking about are very much in a different tier in terms of carrying the load for these teams. Jason Tatum had 40 points the other day, and it started like a national discourse. And it's like, with the offensive numbers we see in today's day and age, with Luka averaging damn near 35-point triple-double, maybe if a guy's scoring 40 points makes everybody want to knight him king of the NBA, and I know that he had 30 at half, but maybe that tells you a little bit something. Maybe he's not quite on the same level as the other guys. Like, yes, the Celtics are a great team, runaway 1 seed in the regular season. They also outscore people by 7 points per 100 possessions when he is off the floor. They are an elite basketball team when he sits. They're only 3 points per 100 better with him versus without him, and they have 4 other all-star caliber players. So because of that, I just don't think individually he is on the level of what Jokic does carrying an offense every night, what Giannis does in terms of two-way impact, what Luka does carrying an offense every night.
Yeah, he's for sure hurt by how stacked that team is, because people just look at it and they're like, oh my God, you have all these guys. There's no way you're as valuable as like Shai is to the Thunder with all those young guys and stuff like that. And I think that's probably factoring into Giannis's chances because people are like, wait a second, you traded for Damian Lillard. Damian Lillard's a great offensive player. Your team is winning because you're one of the best offenses in the NBA, not because you were one of the best defenses. So, yeah, I think it would be tough for Tatum to break in there. I'm surprised he hasn't because I think he is a player that like the or what are they, NBA Today now or whatever, like he's the type of player that those types of shows love to push, and they like want him to like emerge as the face of the league and stuff like that. And so I'm surprised they haven't tried to generate more momentum for that, and they are the number one team in the NBA, and he's the face of it, and so it is a little surprising that like I've heard I never see anybody say like, hey, throw Tatum in there with them.
Well, especially when you consider like it feels like the best player on the best team guy always works his way in there. It was Donovan Mitchell in 21, in 22 it was Book or CP3. Like those guys who aren't playing individually on that level, if the teams are great enough, they will generally work their way in there. But that's true. I kind of think I'm soft launching a take that Jason Tatum is kind of like the Kendall Roy of the NBA, and that he's always in a position to be promoted to like the guy, and he wants it and the people around him want it, and then things kind of choke and fail miserably for him in the big moment, and then you reset. Because he really is like the prince who was promised to a lot of NBA people. I made the mistake of opening Twitter and seeing that our friend Jokic Joestar had quote tweeted Nick Young, Swaggy P, known NBA genius, saying like, I don't get how people have Jokic above Tatum. And I was like, all right, I guess we've arrived at that point of the season.
Well, and it's
he's always been to me, he's always been the like, I've never viewed him as a future candidate to be the best player in the world or anything like that. To me, I always considered him like he would be the Paul George of this generation. And like, because Paul George in Indiana was kind of there, like when they were going against the Heat in the playoffs, people were like, this guy's going to be a superstar. This guy is fantastic. And he peaked very, very high, but just by no fault of his own, they were just better guys at the same time. And so that's how I feel about Jason Tatum.
Well, and that's the thing with Tatum that's so frustrating is it's like all these other guys too have their like consistent. It's like you said about his 40 piece, Carson. We flip out because he dropped 40, but it's like these other guys are so damn consistent in their play style and how productive they are night to night. And it's like Tatum waxes and wanes. It's the Julius Randle dilemma, and it's not obviously to that extent, but it's the damn, man, you're big as hell, Jason. Go down to the rack, my boy. Go get you a layup. Like, you're huge. Go pick on a small guy. Go get the mismatch and go to the hoop. It's that same dilemma that you face with Jason where you're just frustrated where this guy has all these physical abilities, all these athletic traits, and he's settling for jumpers. And he's a great shooter. You know what I mean? It's like...
Well, no, he's not a great shooter. He's a good shooter.
I'd call him. Okay.
What is he shooting this year?
He's at 36. And he had a real hot streak in there, but like we pulled some numbers. Last year, I think he was the only guy shooting a certain volume of pull-up threes. I think it was like over 5 a game, who's hovering around 30%, just below it. And he was at that number earlier in the year. Like, there's no question that he's too reliant on that, and it makes him too volatile as a scorer. Like, that's the difference between him and these other guys, right? All the dudes who we're talking about in the top 4 have that one like unstoppable trait. If it's physical imposition in the paint from Giannis, from Jokic, playmaking, Jokic obviously has that factor, as does Luka, who gets wherever he wants on the floor whenever he wants. Then we'll do some Warriors talk. All right. SGA has that more reliable, like getting into the lane at will, and then is a better playmaker too. So the volatility factor with Tatum is more of an issue in the playoffs for sure, but still I think it inhibits his consistent ceiling as a player compared to some of these other guys who we're talking about. Okay, moving on from the MVP race, the Golden State Warriors have been playing some really good basketball as of late. They've been going with Draymond at the 5, and they've won 5 games straight since doing that. Logan, how much are you buying this turnaround?
I want all the Warriors stock. I said, I think a week or two ago that I officially, after the trade deadline ended and the Lakers didn't make a move, they were stagnant. I said that I wanted the Warriors over LA. I wanted the Warriors over Phoenix. And I'm sticking with that. I'm stamped. Since Draymond came back overall, they're 8-4. They're 4th in offensive rating during that time, 5th in defensive rating, 2nd in net rating. And more specifically, in the 9 games where we've seen Dre at the 5, they've been 9th in offensive rating and 2nd in defensive rating. And I think Dre just kind of opens up everything else for Golden State and what they want to do. Playing Jonathan Kuminga and Andrew Wiggins together is really imperative. And that's kind of the thing. You want your 5 best players out there. Klay Thompson is not playing like one of the 5 best players on the Warriors. So you need to figure out how to get these guys on the court together. And I like the Warriors recipe. You've got absurd superstar level Steph Curry, which I know, Carson, I said 2 weeks ago I would take LeBron. I am still taking LeBron, I think. But I'm completely I'm out on the Lakers, man. The Lakers just don't do it for me. They just...
Logan, just so you know, Pablo, he picked the Lakers to win the title preseason, and now he is completely out on them.
I was anticipating the Lakers making a game-changing move at the deadline, a complete roster overall.
They got Dinwiddie.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. My bad, guys. My bad. If
you want a guy who can give you 14 shots a night on 39% from the field and 31% from deep, you got him.
I thought this year's Lakers team was going to be a complete overhaul, reminiscent of the 2018 Cavs, you know what I mean, where everybody just got shipped out the door. I thought we were going to see them hold on to guys that they liked, and so ultimately I was disappointed. Because of the Lakers' inability to make a move, I'm rocking with the Dubs. You have superstar-level Steph Curry, who's been on a torrent recently. 33 points, man, like 14 threes a game on 44% from deep. You've got an emerging star in Jonathan Kuminga. I like their impactful athletic wing defenders, Kuminga and Wiggins. The bench has been underperforming recently, but I think they're really solid. And this is not me saying the Warriors are going to win the title, but I like them more than some of their other older contemporaries, like Phoenix and LA. I still think they lack an uber-dependable number 2, a legitimate floor spacer. Like, I think Klay Thompson has to play better for them to win a series or 2. I do think they lack physical and athletic advantages over other teams, but the one thing that I circle back to with the Dubs that I really like is that they have experience and that they have roster continuity. I don't know if LA is going to play hard in a one-game scenario in the in-season the in-season tournament. Excuse me. The in-season tournament. They turned it up for that.
They won that. Yeah,
for real. Hang the banners, guys. Hang all of them. I don't know if the Lakers are going to be able to show up consistently enough effort-wise when it comes down to it. I don't know if the Suns are going to be able to reach a high enough defensive ceiling to win a round or get in there. So give me the team that has been there the most, that has the roster continuity, that has a top 5 guy that I'm taking for a playoff run. I want to buy back in on my Warriors stock. And I'll say this too. I know we talked about this briefly on Jason's show, Carson. If we get a hypothetical Thunder or Timberwolves matchup against Golden State out of the play-in, I'm taking Golden State.
Oh.
Pablo, what do you think?
I'm in on Golden State. I thought they would be better before the season started.
Oh, yeah.
And then they were like the worst defense ever. And but now they're finally putting the pieces back together. And when you list out all the guys, it's a team full of names that you like, but they just haven't been playing up to their standard. But like, it's when you like take full account of their roster and you think like, okay, Chris Paul's gonna be coming back soon. Did Gary Payton come back already? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
last couple games.
So he's back, and he's been like a positive for them whenever he plays, right?
Yeah.
And so he's a big time. He's basically like a center for them, kind of. He's like a lockdown defender. He's great for them. And the Steph, Pajimski, Wiggins, Kuminga, Draymond lineup is obliterating people, and it's like the number 1 offense, number 1 defense in like limited possessions or whatever. But you got to think like if you play that starting lineup, and then you get Chris Paul healthy, and then maybe Klay Thompson agrees to come off the bench, and then you have Gary Payton, and then you have Trace Jackson-Davis, and you have Saric, and overall that sounds okay to me. So I don't know if they're actual contenders yet, but they're kind of like the Chiefs, where like it's like if Mahomes is on the roster, I'm thinking they're a contender. If good Steph Curry is on the roster, and Draymond Green has not declined really, like he may not be in peak form, but he is still one of the best defenders in the NBA, and he missed a bunch of time, so it makes sense that their defense was so bad. And they still have Looney. I didn't even mention Looney. So they have guys, and it's just hard for me to count them out. So I still feel good about them. When it comes to the specific playoff matchups, I don't know. It would be crazy to see them versus Minnesota, because then it's just 2015 all over again. It's like we're gonna beat you with small ball, and it's like no, they're too big. Yeah.
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, they're going back to their roots, and I definitely think that it makes them the best version of themselves right now. I think that they had to get more athletic on the wings, and I just think Looney ultimately is not providing enough in terms of that athleticism as a big, and is going to give issues in terms of your spacing offensively. And these are just lineups that have been killing it. Like you mentioned it, Pablo, that 5 with Pods in there instead of Clay has been plus 38 in terms of net rating in just 90 minutes. But like that is obscene. But even with Clay in there, that small ball 5 has a plus 17 net rating in 116 minutes, and they have been clamping people up. So it's real improvement, and I do think that you feel the difference in terms of perimeter athleticism and skill. And I do really like having Pods in there because he brings that extra dimension of a guy who's really comfortable handling and playmaking. But Clay, at least, is going to be a very high-level shooter, and so the spacing value there is really real. And Draymond just changes the game. Like, Draymond has always changed the game. Draymond, so historically underrated. And sure enough, him being back and him holding down this small ball lineup has made this a different basketball team. Overall in the year, the Dubs are outscoring teams by 6 points per 100 when he plays. They're 15-12 when he plays. Like, they're a good basketball team with Draymond. They're a bad basketball team without him. And even though he's not at his peak in terms of athletic tools, he's never been more efficient as a scorer. This is the best he's been as a shooter since 2016. Like, that's been consistent all year.
Still? Is he still at 40 or no?
He's 40% from deep. So,
yeah.
changes how you guard the Dubs, man. And it especially changes things when you consider that now you don't have a non-shooting 5 out there like Looney. Like, this spacing right now is heavenly. It's always been if you run Steph, Dre pick and roll, then, yeah, you have the 4-on-3, but it's like there's going to be a guy in the dunker spot. Right now, at times, he's attacking just these totally clean paints where there's no low man because you have to stay attached to everybody on the perimeter. And it gives more room for a guy like Kuminga, who we know has been so effective attacking in isolation and on post-ups with his athleticism. He's got cleaner paints to attack. Like, this team is just looking much better offensively. He helps things flow so much, like conducting those off-ball actions. He just really, truly changes the game for them. And defensively, obviously, he's phenomenal. I do still think that the fundamental weaknesses for this team are the same. And I always thought that they would be better than they have been, because it's like you mentioned, Pablo, like you look at the names and it's like, all right, well, this is a team that got bounced in the second round last year, and now their depth is significantly better. I liked the young guys. The young guys have been delivering. Like, how is it that they were underachieving so much? And really, Wiggins and Clay disappointing and Looney not playing so well are kind of the key factors there. I think that this gives them their best shot to win. And against the Suns or the Clippers or the Thunder, any team that doesn't have like a really big physical bruising front court, I say go for it. Now you have more offensive pop. You still don't have that second creator, but you have more athleticism, more guys who can handle, more shooting on the floor. I just worry about it against like the really big teams. Like Paulo, you mentioned back in 2015, that was the narrative, but that was a little bit different. That team was a little bit different. Turns out that now we're in a league where it's like teams are able to blend that huge size with the kind of skill that historically a small ball lineup provided. Now you have a center who is 280 pounds and can run your offense, and you have a guy who's 6'10 and shoots 40% from 3 from whatever angle off the catch in MPJ. So, like, that's just what scares me. And the Lakers, Logan, I still think the 2 superstar combination, the much bigger, more athletic, stronger, more physical front court with the secondary shot creation, that scares me. The T-Wolves, I mean, I worry about their half-court offense and their clutch offense in particular, but they are so much bigger, and I worry about what Ant can do. I mean, Dre's going to hold down the paint, but what Cat can do attacking some of those slider forwards.
They beat up the Clippers small ball lineup the other day, didn't they?
Yeah, but I just think the Clippers have significantly more basketball talent. And at the end of the day, it's like when you have 3 shot creators and offensive hubs, the caliber of Kawhi and PG and Harden, I can't bet against that. They shut down
the Clippers, yeah.
But I'm saying it like over a series in a playoff setting.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I'm just thinking like in terms of Minnesota versus Golden State. Yeah, I'd probably still bet on the Clippers to win a series between those two.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's fun, dude. Like, I'm glad the Warriors are playing good basketball because I've been holding out hope and waiting. Like, it was a bummer for a good portion of this year. Like, they looked old and sad and angry, and now they're doing what they do, and it's fun.
They just need Wiggins back. If Wiggins can get 36% from three, I don't know. Maybe things are looking up.
He's at least been, like, knocking down his shots in the last handful of games. He's been pretty good from deep. I think he might be 50% from deep on this win streak. I mean, that's small-ass sample size, obviously, but it's encouraging.
All-Star Andrew Wiggins. Was that last year or was that 2 years
2 years ago. 2 years ago. All-Star Andrew Wiggins. Was he All-Star starter Andrew Wiggins?
Yes.
Yeah, because he got fan voted because the K-pop guy said vote for Andrew Wiggins.
That's awesome.
Earned,
seriously. Get in on the action with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers who deposit $5 or more can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 back in a bonus bet.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use code NERDS. New customers can get a no-sweat bet up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with code NERDS. The crown is yours.
We got to talk a little bit about Wemby here, because the man is just unbelievable. And he just made history the other day. So much so that I went and I made a whole YouTube video breaking it down, because he had 10 blocks against the Raptors. He became the youngest center to have a triple-double, the second youngest player to have 10 blocks in a game. Pablo, do you think that he's the best rookie that we've seen this century?
When does century start? Does that start
That's a great question. 2000.
2000? Okay. So who would be in the running? So LeBron
Great
would,
question.
but I think we're too young to have been there for it. So it's hard to contextualize how good he was in in the league. But since him, does it just jump from him to Luka in 2018? Is there anyone else with them?
The other guy who I think a lot of people would tell you has been the best rookie this century is Blake Griffin, because he just came into the league with a different level of physical maturity. Like, he was already a freak, but then he had the injury year, so he came in 21.
Fake rookie like Chet Holmgren.
Fake rookie, I fear. Fake rookie, I fear. Like Ben Simmons, who, by the way, also has to be on the outskirts of this conversation. Like, he was 16-8-8 and clamping as a rookie. That's pretty rare. But those are kind of the guys to me. Zion, had he been healthy, I think minute to minute.
I was thinking about him too.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really there's nobody who matches the two-way impact other than like LeBron. I don't know.
He didn't.
How good he was.
Pablo, here's what I will say. You may think that we're too young, but I legitimately grind 2004 LeBron rookie film, and I can tell you that there were very good moments. The playmaking, the athleticism was there, but in terms of consistency and just like the different level of outlier physical tools. Breaking news, he wasn't 7'4" with an 8-foot wingspan. Like, there's a big gap on that end between them as rookies.
What was he doing? Was he just guarding threes on ball, and how much like?
Well, he had like some impact. He had some impact with his off-ball defense, but it wasn't as much like the secondary rim protection. It was more kind of like he was pretty good at jumping passing lanes. Like, he made some dynamic plays, but possession to possession was not a great defender, as basically every single rookie ever is, which is why Wemby is such a freak outlier.
Yeah, and he's just so nuts because, like Luka was a genius day one in the NBA, but defensively he's always been like.
No, he's actually good. He's quite good now.
Well, yeah, but he didn't figure out who's the better post defender, current Luka or current Wemby. But
Dialogue.
it's really hard to match the two-way impact that Wemby's having, and it's crazy because. Yeah, they were just nerfing him by doing the Sohan experiment, which I supported the Sohan experiment. But as soon as you just get him a replacement level guard with Trey Jones, then everything falls into place. It's really like, and it's not even like he's scoring in a translatable way to where you could throw him on a contending team right now and he would still be fantastic. His off-ball game is nuts for a rookie. Like he's Probably because he's French. They watch soccer over there, so they know about space.
Yes.
And he's
Yes.
just like he's spinning out and back cutting people. When he uses those arms to push off and separate, that's 11 feet of arms. What are you even gonna do? Like if he I always think about Zion is so impossible to guard because there's very few humans who can absorb that initial impact and then jump with him. It's impossible. And then I think about Wemby, is it possible for him to fully extend, push off you, and jump to catch a lob? What would you even do? So he gets so many. He's like, do you know J. Kyle Mann?
Oh, love him.
Yeah, he talks a lot about implied offense, like how many points do you get just night to night naturally, just in the flow of the game and stuff like that, and what's a consistent well for you to go to. Wemby has so many areas. He has the plays where he dusts Jakob Poeltl off the dribble in isolation, but then he has when he's running in transition, you can just throw it anywhere near him and he's going to come down with it. He has all these just easy baskets off cutting. If you just get him into the paint, if you get the ball to him near the paint, he can just throw up these little hook floater type shots and stuff like that. And then now he's also starting to hit his pick and pop threes and stuff like that. And so it's how what way can't he score right now? It's really unbelievable.
A couple of things. Carson and I are working on a time machine to go back to the Luka Doncic draft to let Vlade Divac also know that Luka's a basketball genius. I think he needs to know.
I tried to tell him. He didn't pick up my calls.
Unfortunate, very unfortunate.
Are we better off if he goes to Sacramento? What does
I'm
the
better
NBA
off.
look like?
I'm better off.
Are you a
Logan's
Kings fan?
He's a Kings fan.
Oh, just like Aaron Schroeder.
Shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out
Shout
Marvin
out Possible
Bagels.
Chairs. Logan is a self-imposed Kings fan, though. This MF is from Virginia, and he said, I want to root for the Kings. So
I wish
really,
Wow, you gave up on the Squires, huh?
Oh yeah.
Sad.
Bandwagon.
My dad was a suffering Squires fan. I couldn't do it to myself.
Destroying Dr. J's legacy one day at a time.
Dude, the Squires were loaded. Fun fact, man. They not only had Dr. J for a little bit, they had George Gervin, they had Rick Barry for a little bit,
This
man.
guy thinks he's telling me fun facts.
He's telling me. No, but I knew about
jackass.
Gervin and I knew about Gervin and Irving, but I didn't know about the other ones.
My dad mistakenly told me that they all played on the same team, and I was like, dude, how did they not win a chip, Dad? They were like separate by a couple of years. And then second, Carson did do a Wemby video, as he mentioned, shameless plug, if you guys want to check that out. I think you hit it on the head, Pablo, we've never seen a guy with physical tools like this. He's 7'4" tall, 8-foot wingspan. His length and fluidity just break the game. You combine that with the impeccable skill and the basketball IQ. I know everybody said this pre-draft. I know everybody said he's made in a lab. He is the perfect basketball player. I can't imagine. And the stuff that he does night to night, I've never seen that, man. A triple-double with blocks from a rookie with what he does night to night protecting the rim. But he caught a lob and dunked it behind his head. He wasn't looking at the rim, and he just put it in. The way his arms are so long, he can catch everything. The deceptive bounce pass the other night to Sohan.
Oh, man.
And final thing, guys, I saw something comical earlier on YouTube. ESPN asked the question, should the Spurs build around Wemby? And I'm like, no, they should build around Jeremy Sohan.
Yes.
What kind of question is that, guys? Can we phrase this a little better?
What does that even mean?
They might have to trade him to the Lakers. I don't know.
That's what they were soft launching.
What does that
Remember
mean,
in the
man?
summer, as soon as Anthony Edwards started doing good in the World Cup, someone put out an article. They're like, Minnesota's too small a market. Get this guy out of here.
Start the Photoshops. Everybody fire up your Photoshop. We're going to trade Gabe Vincent in a second and get Anthony Edwards.
Was Hassan Whiteside a rookie when he had the triple-double with blocks against the Bulls?
Yeah, he was drafted in 2010, I think.
He was drafted in 2010, that's right, yeah. And then he had 2 years where he didn't play at all, and then he went overseas, and then he came back and he got his 2K rating up.
Was
The
he
other
a
guy-
rookie technically? But when
No,
he did
no,
that?
because
Oh,
he had
okay.
played. He was on the Kings
Yeah,
when he
then
was
he went
really
to
young.
then he went to the D
yeah.
League, and then he went overseas. Is the other guy
Yeah.
David Robinson? Is that where you were going, Carson?
No, the youngest guy. Well, David Robinson's too old. Do you guys know who the youngest guy to get 10 blocks in a game is?
Manute?
Oh, let's see.
Or no,
21st
Manute-
century.
Manute
Manute was actually
60.
47.
Yeah, he was actually 60.
To get 10 blocks in a game. Is it 90s?
It's 21st century. Not the first guy you would think of. Never
Is
an
21st
all-star.
century 2000? Or no?
Yes, sorry, that is
Okay.
2000s and
So it
to
can't
present day.
it can't be Carson's favorite player, Theo Ratliff, as he was a one-time All-Star.
Can't be Theo.
It's not
This-
Tyson Chandler, right? He was too
Ty
young.
Crane.
It's not Tyson. This guy came out of high school, so that's why he was able to do it. He was 19.
Came out of high
Amari?
school. Not Bynum, right?
No, good thoughts. Good thoughts.
Dwight?
High school legends. No,
Oh.
a better thought. Really rational, but no.
Okafor. Was he out of... No, he didn't. No, he was
No.
UConn, right?
He was UConn,
went to
with
UConn.
Ben Gordon, yeah.
Loaded,
was-
loaded Husky seams.
Carson, what year did they stop doing the high school entrance?
2005 is the first class. Dwight was the last year.
Okay, so who was...
Or wait, no. I don't think that's right. Dwight was the last first overall pick. But either way, this guy was in that class with Dwight. So he was 2004 is when he was drafted.
With Dwight. Oh,
Yeah.
man.
First
I don't know
rounder.
this class well at all.
First rounder, yeah, it's tough. I mean, he is a guy who was not an all-star, but who you would think probably was an all-star.
Well, it can't
Great
be Chris,
athlete.
It can't be Chris Kaman.
Wow, insane. No, sure enough, it's not Chris Kaman.
Let's see.
I mean, this is a tough one. Do you guys want me to give it to you?
Yeah, I give up.
Mhm.
I give up.
Josh Smith, Jay Smooth.
Oh, okay.
How about that? Yeah. Aspiring 3, aspiring stretch 4/wing, Jay Smooth.
Dude, that guy was
Maybe
LeBron.
10 blocks is empty stats. No.
Yeah, it's not good for Wemby that's the company that he's sharing. I do think
Shout
that
out
he's
Josh Smith.
I do think that Josh Smith is the best rookie we've seen this century, though. And if he's second to anybody, it is to Wemby, who I do think is actually the best rookie. Like, and that's not a really easy distinction to just give out, but I think that he's earned it. And I do think that the key difference is exactly what you said, Pablo. Like, this is unparalleled two-way impact for a 21st century rookie. Back in the day, right, you would have dudes come in who were 24 years old, like David Robinson, off a Navy stint, 260 pounds of pure muscle. You would have Tim Duncan after 4 years in college. But dudes don't come out refined like that. They don't come out physically mature like that. And the only way to overcome that is being the greatest physical outlier in the sport that we have seen since Wilt Chamberlain. And that's what Wemby is. And so he's averaging per 75 possessions, because keep in mind, this guy is only playing his 27 minutes a night still, 5.9 combined steals and blocks per game. Like, he is comfortably leading the league in stocks while playing just his 27 minutes. And I did a whole comparison per 75 possessions of him versus all of the other guys who we've talked about. And he is outscoring everybody else comfortably. He's averaging over 27 points. Obviously, he's out rebounding, 13 boards. Playmaking, he's still giving you almost 5 assists per 75. And his scoring efficiency versus league average is tied for the best of these dudes who we talked about with Blake Griffin. Zion's not included in that because he didn't play a full season. But whatever case you want to make, Luka and LeBron, no question that those guys were more ready to float a team offense because they were these mature, relatively mature perimeter players. I also think that sometimes we can do this thing where it's like, if you think LeBron is the GOAT, then you think LeBron was the best at every single stage. And it's like, LeBron, his rookie year, he shot 33% from mid-range. He shot 29% from deep. Like, of course, he wasn't going to be an efficient offensive hub. No rookies really are. But when you have the ability, like you guys said, just get him around the rim, throw him the ball, and he can finish. He's knocking down his pick and pop jumpers, and he is showing more and more creation off the dribble and playmaking. And then you combine that with a two-way impact that is lapping the field. I just don't think that you can deny the guy. And the Spurs aren't winning lots of games, but that's because the Spurs suck. None of these guys' teams won lots of games. They're significantly better when Wemby's on the floor. He transforms their defense. He's by every metric, and obviously the eye test, like one of the elite rim protectors in basketball already, and he guards well in space. He's a freak. He is everything that he was hyped up to be, and perhaps even a little bit more.
And he's a baller, man. Like, you can see it
Oh,
in
yes,
his demeanor.
yes, yes.
I don't mean that I'm talking about in his demeanor. Like, there's guys that don't, for lack of a better term, give a flying you-know-what. They don't care. It doesn't mean Wemby is eternally locked in. Like, he's not a Jordan Poole dumbass. Like, he's got great demeanor, man. He wants to be great. He wants to make the right read. He's unselfish. And like Pablo said, if he wasn't playing around a bunch of young bums, like, the Spurs would be winning games. And
young projects.
Yeah, come on.
Projects.
Let's be careful with our terminology here.
I don't know.
Sohan supremacy. Woo!
Let's give him more point guard minutes, baby. Yeah, there's no doubt to me that Wemby's already a super impactful winning player, and that's the other side of this, Carson, is you talk about just best. There's maybe arguably, and again, this isn't translating to wins for the Spurs, but when you were isolating what he does on the court, I mean, Wemby is playing winning basketball, it would translate to wherever he goes. Wemby is, like you said, Carson, he's everything that we touted him up to be and more. I don't know if we should build around him yet. I really wonder if the Spurs need to find another guy to build around.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like people are complaining that there's such a bad team still, but I think that's the way to go because getting good too early just messes you up.
True.
Because as soon as you start making the playoffs, you can't go backwards. You can't be like, oh, Wemby, we're gonna tank this year. We actually have to take this year off. He's gonna be like, okay, I'm out. As soon as you speed up that clock, then everything gets ruined. Like we saw, and you. As soon as you make the big move, you have to hit on the big move. Like with the Mavericks, they did the Porzingis trade. Was not bad in theory, but it just didn't work out because he had injury issues, they had chemistry issues, and he was not the same player that he is right now.
Right.
With them. The Hawks did the DeJounte Murray trade. I think that was bad in theory and in the process of it. And the Pelicans did stuff like that with Anthony Davis. They were just trading their picks left and right to try and get him talent. But it's so much easier to just go with the flow because he's just chilling and enjoying the NBA. He's going to bed at 9:30 every night. He's reading. Yeah. So he's just take your time. He's French. He's delicate man.
He doesn't know what's going on. Yeah, it's a very good take. Like, that is a real curse, being too good too fast. You could argue the entire LeBron Cavs era, they never had a shot at adding that elite talent through the draft. The unfortunate thing for the Spurs is that with all the loaded draft classes we've seen in recent years, this is the weakest one in quite some time.
Hey, that Wemby-Alex Sarr pairing, though, that might go nuts. That might go nuts. Plus, he's French also.
You got to get the French connection going. Let's bring Koulibaly over. Let's bring, what's his
me and
face?
Jokic.
Sissoko, let's get them all over here. Let's make a French team.
We've been talking about should the Spurs be worried about Koulibaly recruiting Wemby to DC because they've played together and Wemby's such a cultured guy. Maybe he wants to be in DC with all the museums and he wants to rub noses with politicians. Should they be worried?
You don't think the Riverwalk is enough for him?
Well, because you got to think, how big is he?
I was going to say, I think
it's so much less steps for him, so it's less exciting.
That's a pretty good take.
I think the great big women in San Antonio should be enough for Wemby. Why would he ever want to leave?
Good point. Churros also big selling points. Yeah, I hope that he sticks with the Spurs. Also, it would just be so sick to have the lineage of hey, all-time great big man to all-time great big man. Take a few years off, but in the scheme of things, not that much time. Other all-time great big man. All right, enough about this. Let's talk about Brice Sensabaugh. Why isn't he getting NBA minutes?
I don't know. Should Will Hardy be executed? No, I don't know what they actually did bring him up recently, and he played 2 minutes the other night, and they asked Will Hardy about him in the post-game press conference, and he had to take a shot at my boy for some reason. He's like,
damn.
He has to focus on something other than scoring. He said something like that, and I was like, how dare you? Number one, the assist numbers in the G League are actually crazy. He has flashed way more as a passer in the G League than he did in Ohio State because he wasn't a bad passer. He wasn't missing stuff at Ohio State, but they were basically oh my God, give we have nothing going on. Give it to Brice Sensabaugh in the mid range. That's, oh my God, I'm getting excited thinking about it. That's 100% shot. But so then he goes to the G League and he's averaging like 6 assists or something like that.
Wow.
But also Cam Whitmore did that too, and Cam Whitmore stopped passing once he got to the NBA.
Balling though.
Yeah, he's playing well, but when he started putting up those assist numbers, I was like, "Whoa, Cam Whitmore, what's going on?" But now he's like what's he after, like 0.2 or something like that. But it's crazy. He definitely should get minutes, and I don't really agree with the idea of like he has to contribute in other ways before he's allowed to score. Because why wouldn't you harness the scoring? Like, why wouldn't you try? If this guy, are they not looking at the mid-range numbers that he had at Ohio State? Why would you not try and grow that? Why would you not give him reps? I understand he's a rookie, but they just need to take the leash off. They're not playing for anything. They need to let him cook.
When the weaponizing the scoring is going to open up the playmaking. Once they have to respect him in the mid-range and from the perimeter, it's going to open everything else up. I will say that's the tough thing about the G League. I just pulled up. I got Jamie on our stats team to get the G League numbers. He's at 19-5-3 in the G League this year. That's the one thing that's really tough about the G League is that some guys will just put up numbers there that don't translate, and other guys, they play good team ball. It's like Sam Merrill. Balled in the G League for a long time and is a great rotation guy, right? And then you'll have a guy like Jay Huff, where everybody watches his G League highlights and they're like, wow, dude, Jay Huff is going to be the shit in the league. And then it's like, no, this guy is just dominating guys who are 6'8" playing center, and he's 7'1". Like, that's going to happen. And then you get a guy like Isaiah Hartenstein, and everybody's like, oh, Hartenstein sucks. He would never make a rotation. He's killing it in the G League. And then they bring him up, and he's a really good rotation player. What I'm saying is
only white guys so far, Logan. How about a little representation?
There's a lot of really talented guys in the G, but it's really hard to tell if it's going to translate to good ball. Like, Brice is a guy that I liked in the draft, though, and he's got a really interesting build, too, man. He's a stocky 6'5".
Yeah, he looks enormous next to like this. It's always, I hear people say like that college players look smaller in the NBA. To me, it's always been the reverse. They look bigger to me. Like Paolo looks bigger, Brice looks bigger. A bunch of guys look
when
bigger.
I saw Derek Lively in his first NBA game, I was like, good Lord, man.
He's massive. He's huge. No more Brice takes from you, Logan?
I mean, hey, man, Pablo said it, dude. That mid-range game is buttery.
It is.
They need to harness it. They need to build around him. He's their new Donovan Mitchell. They just don't realize it.
Do you think that maybe Will Hardy has some sort of personal vendetta against him? Because I have a theory. I actually have a theory. I remembered that I thought of this last night. Where is Will Hardy from? Who knows? Logan? Guess. Based on your own life. Guess. Context.
Will Hardy kind of gives me, honestly, Utah vibes. He seems like he's a Utah
Sure enough,
boy.
he's the coach of the Utah Jazz, so that's really good guess.
Thank you.
Where are you from?
Is he a Virginia boy?
He's a Virginia boy, a distinguished Virginia gentleman. Where did Brice Sensabaugh go to school?
Oh.
In high school, I don't even know.
No? College.
Oh, Ohio State.
Ohio State. Which two states have produced the most U.S. presidents, respectively?
Is it
Virginia and Ohio?
Wow.
There's a long historic rivalry there, is all I'm saying, and I think that he could be keeping Brice down because of that.
And you know what?
Yeah.
Also, the thing about Brice is he has ultimate confidence. He's a basketball Calvinist. I think that kind of confidence shakes some people. I think it makes unconfident people uncomfortable. They're like, why does he believe every shot he shoots is going in like it's predestined to go in? I'm uncomfortable.
That's why they hated Deion Waiters, man.
That's why they hated him. It's why they hated Jesus. It's why they hate a lot of people.
Phenomenal take. Also, Will Hardy could want to be the hero. He's boy genius. Look at what he's doing, drawing up all these creative actions. Look at what they do away from the ball.
Kyle Shanahan of the NBA.
He's the Kyle Shanahan. He's tanking. Whoa. That's a phenomenal take. Have you had that take before that Kyle Shanahan is tanking his quarterbacks? Why would he take Trey Lance? So that he doesn't get a good quarterback, so then he can say these quarterbacks suck, they come from nowhere, and I'm making them stars. Think about Will Hardy. What did he do with Lowry Markkanen? Career revival. John Collins, comeback season. Colin Sexton, playing better. That's what he wants to do with everybody. So he has to bring Brice down before he brings him back up.
Kyle, they always say Kyle Shanahan just wants a soldier. He just wants someone to follow orders. He doesn't want a dynamic, out of structure quarterback. So that's probably what he doesn't, because he's worried, oh, we're not going to be running my beautiful system. We're not going to be spreading the ball, because it turns out when you give it to Brice in the mid post, it's a point every single time. So
2.0 points per possession.
Well, dude, and then to your point, once Brice finally pops, we're going to go, oh, it's all Will Hardy's credit.
All Will Hardy.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
All Will Hardy.
He'll
Most
steal
improved
the
player, Brice Sensabaugh, next year. That'll be 2 and 3 years for Will Hardy, a most improved player dynasty. It's sickening. You're a Bulls fan, right, Pablo?
Unfortunately.
How's that treating you? How'd you feel about the deadline, or really lack thereof, for the Bulls?
This is the worst it's ever been in my lifetime. He's worse than Garpax. I've watched so much bad Bulls basketball. I watched the 3 Alphas era. There were days I was rooting for the Zach LaVine, Markkanen, Chris Dunn trio to take me to the top. This is the worst it's ever been, because everyone knows it's not going anywhere, and he won't blow it up. Arturas Karnisovas will not blow it up. He said ownership will let me blow it up if I want to. I don't want to. I want to keep this rolling. And so it's like he must be, you're not even getting, like, they say, like, people who support capitalism, they're like, show me the deed to the factory. Why do you support that? With Karnisovas, it's like, why are you doing this way? Show me your share of the ticket sales, because that's the only way this makes sense. The Bulls are somehow still number 1 in attendance. I don't know why people still go.
That's ridiculous.
And it's just, man, it's just a dark tunnel. There's a little shining light on the wall, and it's like, oh, Kobe White. And then there's a little duller light, and it's like, oh, Patrick Williams playing good 3-and-D basketball. So Nikola Vucevic, have you seen his wide open 3-point shooting numbers? 28%.
That's exactly what I was gonna guess. God,
What a
should have
disaster.
thrown that one out there.
And I expected them to not doing anything at the deadline, and this isn't the worst year for them to not doing anything, because, like, there's no savior in next year's draft. But when we get to Cooper Flag time, if I'm not in lottery contention for Cooper Flag, I might be on the news.
Yeah, Karnisovas, dude, what a disastrous legacy move to leave the Nuggets 2 years before it all went so beautifully. That could have been his legacy, and now his legacy is destroyer of worlds and hopes and dreams.
And I saw someone go over what was his position with the Nuggets? Was
He was
the
GM
for a little bit?
He was GM.
Yeah, he only made trash moves with the Nuggets. Before he made the Donovan Mitchell for Tyler Lydon and whatever else trade.
Yeah, he could.
He's done not like. They say he found Jokic, or he's like one of the ones who found Jokic, but that seems to be the only positive. And I guess, he made some, like, signing Lonzo was a good move. I think everybody would have signed Lonzo. I think he wanted to come to Chicago. Signing Caruso was a good move. I think everybody wanted to sign Caruso. And so it's just, you got to think replacement level front office moves. Like, when has this guy done anything that wows you? The Vucevic trade was a disaster. The second I got the alert on my phone, I was upset. I knew that my future was ruined for the next few years. So it's really horrible. Garpax had some moments of brilliance, but, like, they found Jimmy Butler, they found some other guys. There's no moments of brilliance with this guy.
So what sucks too is you guys did mortgage away good players, like, good young guys, like Wendell Carter is now
my God,
a good big man, like Markkanen too. What did the Bulls give up? Like, why did they? I don't really remember. Why did they give up Markkanen?
So basically, Markkanen got completely destroyed by Jim Boylan. Jim Boylan
Great
was
coach.
like, I'm not calling any plays for you. I'm not doing anything for you. Like, there was, it was called, we called it February, back in the Bulls days, because there was this one February where Laurie was doing the things that he does now. Like, he would get the ball in transition. They allowed him to be like a point guard, and he was driving. He was hitting all his threes. He was doing, like, his deceleration move. He was doing all this great stuff, and he looked like a star. But then Jim Boylan was just like, cut that that out. This is European. I hate this. And he basically told him, if you want shots or if you want involvement in the offense, then you need to go grab rebounds. And then that basically killed his confidence. It killed his like motor and everything. And so by the time he was done in Chicago, I think everyone was ready to part ways because we were like, it's just not going to work out here.
What did Chicago get back?
I think I think it was part of the DeRozan deal. Like, was it a 3-way deal with Cleveland and San Antonio to get DeRozan? I think that's what it was.
Was that it? I honestly can't remember exactly.
Get Jamie on it.
Yeah, Jamie, can we get on this for God's sakes? I will say.
Oh my God!
All right, talk us through it. You okay there, buddy?
This is a joke.
What is it?
You guys aren't going to believe me. Dude, they got Derrick Jones Jr. in a first and a second.
Was that it?
That's it.
Yeah. I mean, I will say, bro, Lowry's stock was low because he had not progressed.
Did we use that pick for DeRozan?
I got to figure out who you guys got.
Tied in there somehow. Maybe not. I don't know. But we were done with him by then. So
it was like there were no deal.
More. It was? Okay.
Cleveland, Portland, and Chicago, yeah.
Huh. Yeah. Yeah. I remember, and I will always remember, the first game of the 2019-20 season against the Charlotte Hornets. Lowry had, I think, 34 points, and he was big bodying people. He was being physical as a driver, and I was like, this is the dude we've been waiting for. Lowry Markkanen all-star leap incoming. And then I was, 3 years early. But ironically, now Lowry actually does rebound. Lowry was never a good rebounder at Arizona, in Chicago, and now, he gets his 9 boards a game. He's just a more physical guy. So much better. Well, sorry about being a Bulls fan. Perhaps someday. I don't understand why, in God's name, the reports are now coming out that they want to commit further to DeMar. Like, I get not pushing it with Levine when it's like, okay, he's hurt, right? He's going to miss the year anyways. You have him under control. Wait for a deal you like. I don't think the value is going to get better. But to say, yeah, we are actually going to re-sign DeMar DeRozan is unfathomable to me.
Yeah, it's and apparently they were buyers at the trade deadline. They were
of course.
calling around.
Well, they're one move away.
Oh my God! And so like the DeRozan trade, I did not like when it happened. But that ended up working out because he just like peaked. He was just like playing the best basketball he's ever played.
Yeah.
And it would have been great if then you sold high. You were like, hey, does anyone want DeMar DeRozan? He's playing great basketball. But instead, it appears we're just gonna run him into the ground. We're gonna wait till he is shooting 12% on his mid-range shots. We're like, man, we just missed out. If only the stars had aligned. So I don't know what they're waiting for. It used to be that they were waiting on Lonzo to come back, but now now his press conference answers like indicate that he's not even expecting that. Arturas, he's like, in a perfect world it would happen, but we don't live in a perfect world. So I don't know.
Damn.
I don't know what he is expecting to happen. It feels like he like Garpax would try and trick us. They'd be like, well, no, we're gonna be contenders. We're just chilling right now. They would be like they would say things like, when Derrick Rose gets back from injury, that's the equivalent of us like making a big trade, like getting him back on the roster and stuff like that. But it feels like Arturas is not even trying to trick us. It feels like he's just like, yeah, we're mid, but we're doing that. We're going forward. It's cool to see DeMar DeRozan make these jumpers in games that don't matter. It's cool. Yeah. It's cool doing all this. He says like the Vucevic. Well, I guess they asked him like, how do you feel about the Vucevic trade? And he's like, I think we came out good on that trade. Which I guess he's not going to say, God, I missed on that one. But man, it's so depressing. I don't know when the end and. Reinsdorf does not fire people because he doesn't care about results. He just wants to hook his boys up with jobs. And so I don't know when this guy's going to be out of my life, but we are in trouble. We're in trouble.
Dude, it's one of the most interesting, like, let's put 3 stars together ever. Like, one of the weirdest combinations. I remember at the time I was like, individually, I don't like any of these guys. I think Levine is overrated. I think DeMar is overrated. I think Vooch is overrated. But I did think, like, all together, Lonzo's so important, what he can do with his shooting and point of attack defense and playmaking. I was like, this could be a 50-win team. And, there's something at least to being a good regular season basketball team when you've just sucked for the better part of really 25 years. And
shout out
maybe that could have been the case with Lonzo.
Woo!
Yeah, shout out 2011, man. Shout out. All right, All-Star Weekend is coming up. What's your take on All-Star Weekend, Pablo? Do you enjoy? What are you looking forward to? Do you have things you would change in that big brain of yours?
I feel bad for all the players who have to spend the weekend in Indianapolis. It's a disgusting, gross, horrible city that no one should ever have to visit. I would protest. I would not show up if I was them. I would go somewhere warm and somewhere that's not just a gray mess of parking lots and potholes. Shout out to Yats, the only redeeming part of Indianapolis. But yeah, the All-Star Weekend. The dunk contest, there's not enough innovation for me. I'm willing to be hired as a dunk contest consultant. I have good ideas that people have never tried, but because people say everything's been done. Everything hasn't been done. All right, so first dunk you walk out, and that you walk out with the ball, and then you just drop the ball at center court. And you start running up to the hoop for like a lob, and everyone's like, what's going on? Where he doesn't have a ball. And then either someone drops a ball from the rafters and you catch it and dunk, or someone throws like from the nosebleeds, or someone throws just from the crowd. Someone throws, the ball comes out of nowhere from the crowd, and then you dunk. So that's an exciting first dunk.
Never been done.
The best idea I have is donkey bars. So monkey bars, right? Yeah. You know how you swing from bar to bar? You line up a bunch of hoops like that, and then you swing from hoop to hoop, dunking the ball with your left hand and right hand. Now, I don't know if there's regulations against... No, there can't be, because JaVale McGee dunked on 2 hoops at one time. So that implies you can dunk on 10 hoops in one attempt. So I think that would be my other one. I have another good one, but I can't think of it right now. But either way, if you give me time, if you lock me in a room and have me sit down and come up with ideas, I could do it. The problem with these dunk contest guys is they're just doing it off a whim. I think they're like the night before it's due, they're sitting down to do the homework. They're like, what should I do? I don't know. I'll do a 360. Great idea, Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown hasn't gone yet, so we'll see.
He hasn't.
I don't know.
Super personal.
But yeah, there's innovation, but they're just not tapped into it. So. The 3-point contest with Steph Curry and Sabrina Ionescu, that is going to be a disaster. I'm gonna log off because no one's going to have fun with it. Everyone is going to say it's going to turn into
a gender
Tate,
war,
battle of the genders.
Yeah.
That's going to be, oh my God, it's going to be a nightmare online. And then the All-Star game, they went back to East-West, right? So. Yeah, I don't know. The West is just so much better than the East, but the game doesn't wow me. I feel like the game is probably for kids, right?
It's a good question. I don't really know who it's for at this point. I think it's just been a thing for so long that you can't get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's better than the Pro Bowl. You get that. At least they're playing a semblance of the actual sport.
I wish they still did the Pro Bowl like on Madden, man. That was actually like legitimately fun to watch. The All-Star game is just like gone so far downhill. Like we peaked with the dunk contest with Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine. Like that was the greatest ever. That was amazing. And then we got a second version of it. And then with the NBA game, they lost me when they had the final point total. Do you guys remember when they changed that?
That was the best.
The Elam ending.
Elam ending was a win.
Good. It did make it competitive.
It made it so that there was a quarter of basketball that was going to have stakes no matter what, and they would actually play really hard.
Just all kind of dumb. It's a basketball game, man. So, like, what, the points in the first 3 quarters just don't matter? Thanks, guys.
Well, it's for a show.
Yeah, it's a basketball game. Yeah, what are you talking about? Exactly. Dudes are throwing behind-the-back lobs whenever they want, pulling from 60.
It just makes you, like, nostalgic for the days of old when Dr. J and, Jordan and they would be in the dunk contest. I think to save the dunk contest, I think we need star power. I don't know if anybody's ever going to care about an All-Star game again. You know what I mean? It's like the Pro Bowl. Like, it's a joke now because nobody wants to get hurt. And I don't know, man. I wonder if we should do away with it.
I think Pablo's right about the dunk contest. to me, it's not like exclusively about star power. That's what we've always heard. We got to get LeBron in the dunk contest. We got to get X star. We got to get Zion, John Morant. The best dunk contests ever did not involve superstar talents. It was Aaron Gordon and Zach LaVine because they were the best.
They became stars because of it.
Yeah. They were the best dunk contest dunkers ever. They were freak athletes who were also trying new creative stuff. Mike, sign me up for that every time. Mac McClung last year didn't move me, unfortunately. Like, it's cool, but also he was a literal G League player. It's a little bit weird. Like, why don't we bring Jordan Kilgannon, professional dunker, in at this point and have, like, the professor in the skills challenge? That was a bit of a stretch to me. I think the innovative dunks, you got some good ideas there, Pablo. Pogo stick dunk, have you ever considered that?
You jump off a pogo stick, could be the move.
You're on pogo stick. I think you start from half court, you go the entire way on pogo stick, and then you propel yourself up, as a pogo stick is intended to do.
Could be the move.
Stilts dunk on a 15-foot hoop. I mean, there's ways to get up there. Ways to get up there that people haven't tried before.
Could be the move.
Could be the move.
Dude, I think Wemby would win. Like, imagine just a dunk contest where it's like the only rule is that it's a 15-foot hoop, and then Wemby's like the only guy that can get up there.
Yeah.
I wonder, what is the max height he can dunk at?
I'm gonna say it's somewhere between 12 and 13, I think. I couldn't put an exact inch on it, but I would be pretty confident in that.
Jeremy Evans reached real high that one year.
Wow, I forgot. That's a deep cut, man.
And also, what did he do? He like painted himself dunking, or he like brought out a canvas and it was covered, and then he dunked, and then he revealed it was a painting of him dunking. Right?
I didn't remember that. That's the kind of showmanship we need to bring back, bro.
Remember, who was it? Was it Paul George who did the glow in the dark dunk? Like,
yeah, I remember that.
They turned off the lights in the stadium and he was glowing. Yeah,
they had some stars that year. Dame, John Wall, PG, and DeMar. Weren't they all in the dunk contest that year?
I think that was
Terrence Ross being in that year.
T. Ross, the boss.
They need to add a 1v1s portion. Maybe
100%.
They should just do the 1v1s during the All-Star game. It should just be like just call out ISOs constantly.
Yeah.
That would be more fun. But you got to wonder who's going to try, and then are they going to call fouls?
Oh no, I think there would be pride on the line if we go, hey, ISO, and it's just two guys at the top. I think dudes would play hard.
Yeah, maybe.
Edwards. Oh no, Edwards and Shai, they're going to be on the same team. So
yeah.
I don't know if that was a good move. Like getting rid of the drafting. I thought the drafting was okay because, I don't know.
I like the classic East-West. There's something about that to me, and maybe it is just nostalgia, but I like the cleanness. I like the classic jerseys, East-West. They'll probably mess that up this year. I haven't seen what jerseys they're rocking, but the red and blue, that's fun to me. That's tried and true. But, I mean, a one-on-one tournament would be such a huge win. Like, we have the skills challenge, bro. Nobody cares. Now, what they've done with the Rising Stars sucks. There's a G League team.
Scoot Henderson has a chance to be... So he already has been in it 2 times before. He's in it this year. He probably is able to be in it next year, right? Mm-hmm. Will anyone ever get 4 Rising All-Star Game appearances ever again? He has a chance to do the unthinkable.
I mean, he'll certainly be the first. I don't know if he'll be the last, though. G League Ignite, I think that's going to be a thing that, like, at least a few guys do. I think it's actually probably only going to grow in popularity year after year.
They are, I have noticed they started up a new Twitter account. I forget what it's called, but they were like, the NBA was, like, promoting high school basketball. And they really are like they're trying to promote their future stars. Like they had all of Wemby and Scoot's like big games on League Pass last year and stuff like that. So it seems like they used to be like, we'll let college handle it or whatever. But now they are taking more initiative to develop the young guys.
Totally. It also helps when like you have generational hype. Like Wemby was generationally hyped, but Scoot was also so hyped up, and I think that's why everybody was like, Brandon Miller's gonna suck. It's just because the hype machine was so behind Scoot. Brandon Miller was that dude.
That wasn't great because that was just like artificially built because he didn't dominate the G League. So I think it put unfair expectations on how good Scoot was.
Yeah, he played really well when they played each other.
Yeah, in that first, I think that's the only game everyone saw because then everyone also Wemby made like 7 threes, and I think everyone just thought he was like a knockdown shooter.
Yeah,
because of that.
Yeah, 30%.
7'4" Steph Curry.
7'4" KD. Everybody still calls him KD, which I still think we need to settle down with a little bit. He's really fluid for a 7'4" guy. I don't know that he is ever going to be KD comfortable handling pull-up shooting. Like, he's going to be really good at it. Kevin Durant, though. I'm so out on KD comparisons, bro. There's never been a KD comparison where I was like, yes. I was BI, the next KD. Settle down. KD's a top 15 player
Jabari
ever.
Smith Jr., Chet. I mean...
Yeah, the only one close is Dalen Terry.
Yeah, the only one close is Dalen Terry, obviously. Dalen Terry, maybe like Rodion's Kurucs, right? 6'9", could handle, could shoot, but...
Dude, didn't Dalen Terry have like a nasty dunk the other night, man?
Yeah, I think so.
Arizona legend. Shout out. I've had a long conversation about why Dalen Terry was super under-recruited because we went to ASU, both Logan and I covered ASU sports for 24/7, and my boss, shout out, great guy, Chris Cartman, always talked about how, like, the ASU coaches were like, that guy's not any good, and they were making fun of him, and he's like, no, he's actually pretty good, like, he's a long athlete, plus rebounder, high-effort guy, like, he's going to get better when he grows into his body more. They didn't want him. Bobby Hurley did not want Dalen Terry. Put that on his tombstone.
We'll take Remy Martin. That's
they wanted Remy Martin, and they wanted as many Remy Martin knockoffs as possible. All right. We'll let you out of here in a minute, Pablo. I do just want to open the floor because I think you have so many fascinating things to say about the league. Like, is there a take churning in your mind? Is there a theory? Is there anything in particular that you feel you would be remiss if you didn't get off your chest?
I don't know. I don't know if there's nothing.
There
right
doesn't
now.
have to be.
I'll tell you what, I love 5-4 pick and rolls. I love Karl Anthony Towns running the pick and roll with Gobert as the screen setter, and he can shoot pull-up threes or he can throw the lob. It's nuts. It's what I've been doing in 2K. I'm glad they finally caught up. I'm known for doing things in 2K years before they get to the NBA. I was running the 2018 James Harden Houston Rockets offense with Tony Wroten. Years before it happened, it wasn't built off pull-up threes, but it was built off Tony Wroten guard post-ups. I popularized the roamer before they started doing it recently in the NBA. I would always user control the center and just make sure I guard the worst shooter on the court. I would just abandon him, leave him, just hang out in the paint all the time.
Innovative.
And so yeah, I think bigs. We're using bigs like that. I always wanted them to be more creative with Karl Towns because of how rare his skill set is, and I think they are doing more because, like, if you run him off ball like around screens and stuff, like Steven Adams can't keep up with that. And then if you put a smaller guy on, then he could just bully that smaller guy.
Right.
So yeah, Karl Anthony Towns, he's the future. Start Chris Finch. He's using him in cool ways, and everyone needs to get on those waves.
Dude, Cat has always been so overhated. Like, people take a sample size from him in the playoffs, his rookie year, one series, and just like these little one series sample size where he's just not quite as good as normal, and then they're like, this dude is like Julius Randle level fall off choker, doesn't have that dog in him. It's like, the greatest shooting center we've ever seen who's also pretty comfortable handling and playmaking. Like, that guy might actually be pretty good. I know that he was hyped up to be like the Messiah as a prospect, and he was never defensively what was expected, but
remember there was at one point the NBA GMs took a survey and they said we'll take him first before everyone else.
And he was like, I think he did that 2 years in a row and was prominently featured in, like, I think somebody picked him to win DPOY in front of, like, his third year. Like, there was some defensive category that a GM was like, I want Cat. I want to revisit the Tony Wroten offense real quick. So if it's not about the step back three, the pull up three volume, you're talking just like very spread offense. Are you talking small ball when they got rid of Capella? Or walk me through that. I'm intrigued.
Yeah, what team was I forget what team I was.
The 2015 Sixers, maybe?
No, it wasn't, because I would trade for him because you could get him for cheap.
Yeah.
I would have shooters everywhere else. I forget who my big men were, but I would have shooters out on the perimeter, and it would just be 5-out offense, and just like the Roman Coliseum, just whichever guard was guarding Tony Wroten, I'm backing them down all the way in the post, and I'm either killing them and scoring, or they're sending a double, and then that guy's cutting, and I'm hitting him with a pass. And so it was like I was racking up triple doubles. So the AI wasn't very smart because they didn't switch the defenders. They could have put a bigger guy on him, but they couldn't. but who knows if the NBA would have even thought to do that? I don't
Well,
know.
they saw a 68 overall Tony Roten and didn't realize that he was a post mismatch like nothing they'd ever seen before.
Idiots. And you know what? I think I was the Wizards, and I think I had Isak Bonga. I think he was
Oh
my
my
backup
gosh.
point
Oh,
guard.
whoa, this is more recent than I thought then.
Yeah.
I could.
Tony Roten was out of the league. You brought him back.
Well, this is like, was this like 20? Is this 2017?
No,
When
Bonga
was he
wasn't
left?
in the league. He was in the 2018 class.
Bonga was 2018 class. Oh,
And I'm
oh,
pretty sure
wow.
Roten was out of the league a couple years by then. But I'm sure he was on some European roster. You probably got him from there.
Maybe I'm mixing timelines then. I don't know. But I definitely was also big on Bonga in 2K.
Yeah, super team. Tony Roten, I realized, had a very outsized cultural impact because the guy comes up a lot for like really barely being an NBA player.
A mixtape can make your career.
So true. Seventh Woods. People still talk about the name Seventh Woods. It's a very, very real thing. All right, Pablo, thank you for coming on, man. Huge get. I got to say, my girlfriend, big fan of yours. Big fan of yours.
Oh.
Yeah, because when I post a TikTok, right, you know, it plays whatever's on the For You page, and it's very often you. And she doesn't like basketball at all, but the anime takes, the Kaisen takes, the could X group of ragtag ne'er-do-wells stop 9/11, it's compelling stuff. So want to let you know that, you know, we're still trying to tap into the female demographic. We're looking at about 2%, so
2%.
Like
I
the
think
milk.
I am higher than that.
you're higher than that. Well, you're accessible, you know, and you're wise. We just anyways, all right.
He's down bad for me, guys. He's down bad. Shout out to the State of the League podcast
Yes.
with me and Jokic Joestar. There's a free episode posted on YouTube. Guys, I'm at 3% on my phone. If I disappear, it's because I
Buzzer
ran
beater.
out of battery. State of the League podcast with me and Jokic Joestar. There's a free episode posted every week on YouTube on the State of the League YouTube channel. There's a episode posted on Patreon. We have 40 patrons already. Everyone get in there. We're having good stuff. You'll have the chance to lobby me. Check out my TikTok this week. There's going to be some takes that maybe I don't believe, but I've been lobbied to speak on behalf of. So is Cam Thomas the next Donovan Mitchell? We'll see. But yeah, get in there. There's good stuff in the Patreon. Shout out. It's 2 hours of podcast. It's 4 hours of podcast a week. Also, we're going to start posting on the weekends. The only NBA podcast that posts on the weekends. Everyone's taking the weekend off. They don't grind like us. And we're also the only NBA podcast that talks about every single team every single week. Wow. Plus, come draft time, I'm going to be talking about draft stuff. It's a good time over there. I'm at 2%. All right.
Holy shit.
Head over to Hot Tunes TV China NBA on YouTube. That's my solo YouTube channel. I haven't posted on there in a little bit. I'm very technologically limited, so that's why I don't post there as often, but there's going to be lots of draft stuff there eventually. And then shout out to my TikTok channel, the world famous Pablo Escoball. The search up Pablo Escoball, I'll come up.
That is one of the best self-plugs that I've ever seen. Well played, Pablo. A joy to have you. Of course, you guys know Jokic Joestar. We've had him on twice now, friend of the show, and we had to get Pablo on because it really is. You're world famous, man. World famous Pablo Escoball. Everybody go check him out. So, with that, as always, appreciate you guys. If you want more of us, you can find us on the Nerd Sesh YouTube channel. You can see all of our full shows with video there. You can listen to the podcast across audio platforms. You can follow us on social, TikTok and Instagram at Nerd Sesh, Twitter at Nerd_Sesh. And you can check out our merch if you want. Logan's wearing the hat. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice on his shiny head? We got the flags. We got shirts. We got hoodies. Thevolume.com. You can find it all. And if you want to start a dialogue, you can't lobby us, but you can certainly have our ear in the Nerd Sesh Discord. So you can sign up for that. Link to that is at the link tree across our social media bios. So with that, as always, thank you, Pablo. Everybody go check him out. I've been Carson Breber.
I am no longer bald.
Damn. And this was Nerd Sesh.